All right, so here we are in phase 2, which is all about tapering of the macros. Again, looking at the green cells, these are the ones that you need to populate. The preferred fat percentage has to be populated with either the percentage that you found in phase 1 or a 0. So we'll just go through this with it being 0. You also have the date populated, so we'll go back to phase 1 for Mighty Mike here. He was on phase 1 until 2/1/2018. So we'll plug that number in here, that date. And then when you do that, this will populate with what his weight was on that day, as well as what his fat, protein, and carb macros were. So if we had plugged in the 77% that we had found in the threshold video prior, then basically these would stay at a constant 77% rather than gradually increasing as you went. That's basically what happens when you put in the preferred fat percentage variable there. Just sticking with the 0% and the date, we'll kind of go through this. Whole point of this phase is to apply pressure to the body gradually, keyword being gradually, tapering your macros 5 or 10 grams at a time. Nothing crazy. You don't want to just drop your macros really suddenly. You know, I know you want to lose weight. I know you want to improve your composition, but you're only going to do yourself more harm than good if you drop your calories very abruptly, because then you're going to start losing muscle, and it's just bad news. As we go through this, you're going to be plugging in your weights like we did in the previous section. Both the fat and the protein are gradually going to be dropping as we go. 147 to start, 142 the next week, 94 to start, 83 the next week. And again, I recommend 5 or 10 gram increments. If you're a female starting at a lower caloric intake to begin with, then you might want to be more conservative and only taper 5 grams at a time. Whereas if you're a male that has 3,000 calories to start, you can get a little bit more aggressive and go with 10 grams at an adjustment as opposed to the 5. So you can plug in 140, you can plug in 80. We'll just round those. We'll just do 135, and then we'll do 75. We'll just go by intervals of 5, for instance, and that'll automatically populate based off of those adjustments. So let's say we're applying this pressure here, gradually tapering our macros, and he drops down to 154, and let's say over the course of several weeks he loses about a pound a week roughly on average. Weight loss is not a linear process. There might be days where he drank some extra water and took some more sodium, ate too many pickles, got in too much sodium, and his weight bumped up to 156. That's totally normal. You might be on your cycle and hormones may come into play. You might increase 3-4 pounds in a week. Hopefully Mighty Mike doesn't have a cycle, but again, we're just going for a gradual weight loss trend. As long as you're trending downward over time, that is the main thing. So let's just say he gets to his 150 goal on 321, and you can get a visual of all these adjustments as you go. You scroll to the bottom of this spreadsheet, you can see kind of how he's trending. Trending down. He has that spike when he ate too many pickles, got in too much sodium, and then got back on track, and now he's trending back downwards again. That's the main thing, ladies and gents. It's not a linear process. There's going to be some sporadic weigh-ins throughout the entirety of this course, but as long as you're trending in the right direction and improving your composition, that's the main thing. Phase 2 is the bulk of this course. This is where the magic happens. It's the least attractive phase. There's not a whole lot going on other than just gradual tapering of macros, but this is where the magic happens. Whether you are dieting Diane, Big Bone Bob, or Mighty Mike, the majority of your fat loss is going to occur in phase 2. An example here of where Mighty Mike is going to diverge from Big Bone Bob is if Big Bone Bob's got more weight to lose, he'll continue on phase 2. He might be in phase 2, for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months even. Basically just continuing to apply enough pressure to cause his body to, lose that body fat. In the example of Mighty Mike, he's got to his 150, but he's like, I feel like I can get a little bit leaner. I want to hone things in just a little bit more. My calories are getting pretty low, 1359 right now, which is pretty low for a male. But he wants to kind of hone things in. At this stage, he's going to move to phase 3, the home stretch, and we're going to get a little bit more creative with the use of ketogenic caloric refeeds. At some point with this formula, your calories are going to keep decreasing. You might hit a point at which your calories become too low. Again, we don't like to really go below 1,300, so this is hitting 1,195 right now, and at this stage, basically what's going to happen is you're going to have to reset and go through the onboarding again, reset your metabolism to higher intake, and then basically jump back on. And that's honestly like the beauty of this course. Like it evolves with you based off of your needs and your composition. So, if your calories get too low in phase 2, you reset your metabolism, and then go through again at a better starting point than the first time. And it just continues to evolve with you. Once your calories get too low, don't keep just going lower and lower and lower, because the same rules that apply to, dieting Diane, also apply to anybody if they're just going too low in phase 2. We got to keep your calories at a healthy state.